So, if you missed the announcement, this account is about to get Kate-tastic, which pretty much means dorky to the T. Bunny, say hi. She's really psyched about this. She's like, Mom, you're already fucking weird. Nevertheless, if you want the pretty stuff, go to Kate's Beer. It's gonna be pretty, gonna be all my aesthetic and all that good stuff, but what I've realized is I've been on this planet for 29 years. Woo, I'm still alive. And yeah, I survived some hell and I was stigmatized that whole time, and I'm gonna bust up this joint with some dork and stigma fighting. Oh, yeah, I'm talking to you. We're accepting all color, all crazy, all labels. So yeah, I'm here to change it. Get ready. Oh, you want an ear rub. So this is episode 1 of the Dork and Vulnerability Diaries. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Kate. I was born in Norwich, Vermont. Born and raised there. Vermonter. Loud and proud. I drive my truck. I wear my mud boots. Yeah, no, I actually wear overalls because I like them. Also, like, my butt is big, so when I bend over, no, you cannot help yourself to my plumber's crack. Nevertheless, yeah, I'm going to just give you a little backstory. I've been on this planet 29 years, as I said. Born and raised Vermonter. I think of myself as positively human. First, above all, I am human. I struggled with that for a really long time. I think I identified with a learning disability as a child. Okay, I will rub you. This is Waffle Nugget, by the way. She will appear in these because, I mean, she's more famous than me, and yeah, like, that face. Oh, but she's so cute. Yeah, but in all seriousness, grew up and identified as broken, as less than, as a disability, as unworthy. And then I spent, upon my diagnosis of bipolar disorder, in my late teen years, I identified solely as that. I was bipolar Kate. I was more bipolar than I was Kate. And I lived that illness through 20 hospitalizations, plus 1 year in a ward all summer. And through shock therapy and memory loss, through hallucinations, through it all. What came first before my humanity was actually my label. And so what I'm here to do is blast that and change it. Change the paradigm. Let us be human. Let us be vulnerable. Let us be weird. Look at me. I talk with my dog all day. I believe vulnerability is strength. I believe my gift is my burden and my burden is my gift. And I lived 10 years with a misdiagnosis. I went through hell and I was given a second chance when I was re-diagnosed correctly with an extreme anxiety disorder. You probably can't believe it as I sit here wearing my sneaky master glasses. But I'm fucking terrified to be talking to you. But when we lean into our fear, we grow. And I'm here to grow. I'm growing with vulnerability. I'm growing with weirdness. And I'm growing with humor and joy. Oh yeah! Introduction time. Cutting the music so I can actually focus. Woo! Who's got attention issues? Yeah, but I'm just going to give you kind of a brief rundown of my story. Here to get loud and proud about all that is life. The shit, the joy, the gratitude, the vulnerability, the weirdness, you name it. I'm here to be it. As long as it's real to me. Nevertheless, me, born and raised in Vermont. Vermont is this very sweet, little, cute little state. It's right over there. I actually right now live in Hanover, New Hampshire, in a beautiful timber frame. Let me just give you a sense of it. It is very, very pretty. I'm not sure my lovey, Dave, who I have been dating for 3 years, someday I swear we'll get married. Maybe, if he can handle this. I mean, who can, but just kidding. He painted it with me, but it's gorgeous now that it's white. Although late night, I don't know if you can see it up there. Yep, there it is, up there. Yeah, that line. Yeah, I just didn't tape it. Creative. We like creative. Nevertheless, here we go. Born and raised Norwich, Vermont. Currently live in Hanover, New Hampshire. I spent my childhood with two awesome sisters, one older, one younger. Is it apparent? I am the middle child, born in August. Leo! I'm very loud. I'm also the black sheep, not surprisingly. I mean, come on, I wear striped glasses. So, yeah, I live with two awesome parents also as well. I'm very blessed to have my full family intact and loving themselves and hanging out and fighting and being divas all together. They're really intense. Nevertheless, so I grew up really, really privileged childhood. I grew up with a learning disability, and I didn't really understand what that meant. I thought it meant I was broken, so I really internalized that and struggled with my self-esteem as a child. Nevertheless, what it really meant was that I was damn smart. I just didn't know how to make sense of a lot and was really fucking creative. So I just kind of ran down the rabbit hole. I guess traditionally we would identify this as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. When I was a kid, I just had a processing disorder and had special reading and went to tutoring and was like, oh, so meh, cranky about it, when in fact my parents were really just affording me privilege and granting me the gift of being able to read and write effectively, which I now love and do daily. Classic. Resentment as a child, hating your parents for something that is truly a gift. What do you know? Hindsight's 2010. It's basically the premise of this entire story. Nevertheless, childhood, grew up, played a lot of sports to get out this action. Played a lot of sports, yeah. Rode a lot, stayed up late, working really hard. Hung out with my sisters, like made mud patties, lived in our treehouse. Pretty much, yeah, we lived the Vermont dream, maple syrup, all the whole 9 yards. Yeah, we did it. Yeah, so that was childhood. Made it to high school somehow. Still weird. Yeah, I mean, I somehow hid weird. I didn't think weird was cool. Now I'm like, weird's the best fucking thing you can wear. Like, weird in confidence, like, that's where it's at. Nevertheless, high school, I started to thrive a little bit more because I was good at sports. I made varsity hockey, made varsity lacrosse, and they were like, whatever, this girl's a little weird, but she's good at sports, so we'll take her. She's a jock. Freshman, sophomore year were pretty uneventful. By the time junior year rolled around, I'd started crying all the time. Whether it was the pressure of college coming up or just kind of the residual internalization of my learning disability, I just had incredible insecurities. And I was diagnosed as a result with ADHD and depression. And I remember learning that and thinking, oh my God, what a relief. There is a word for this. There is a word for the sadness I feel. There is a word for the hollowness and the emptiness. There is a word. And I think the relief that I felt at the time led me to latch on a little too strongly. I think it's wonderful to have an explanation for what's going on. I think identifying too strongly can be a really tough line to walk. Nevertheless, I identified pretty strongly. But I somehow, having grown up with my grandmother who had bipolar 1 disorder, I knew even then at age 16 that I was not going to be quiet about this. Like, I wasn't going to just sit there and hide. I was going to rock my shit. I was going to own my shit, and I was going to tell people about my shit. Pretty much, yeah, started chronic oversharing then. What do you know? I'm still doing it today. Yeah, so at age 16, I was really upfront. I would just walk into a professor and be like, so here's the deal. I'm depressed. I cry all the time. I can't stop crying. I'm just crying. And I want to get an education and I want to go to college. So I'd like your permission to sit in the back of the room and sob throughout this lecture in order to pass your course. I don't know what teachers thought. I know my guidance counselor became my best friend that year. Yeah, and shout out Angie, you're a rock star. Only reason I made it through college. High school. But yeah, they worked with it, and friends worked with it. And again, it didn't really matter that I was crying in the hallways because I was scoring goals and captains of teams, and they were like, yeah, she's a jock, but she cries. But whatever, she's a jock. So justifies the weirdness or the tears or the mental health. I managed to, by persevering in my studies and kicking my booty royally, staying up late, working to beat the processing disorder, to get into Middlebury College, and that's where I went. I started in 2011.5. Hey, yeah, Febs, represent. So started in 2011, and at that point I'd actually been diagnosed with a mood disorder. So at that point there was a lot of kind of mood regulation. So instead of just crying, I was loud and in your face and all over the map and just kind of angry and moody, just everything under the sun with a mood. That's what I was. So I at that point had been given the mood disorder, not otherwise diagnosed. And so I actually started Middlebury on a small dose of lithium. At that point, I just kind of threw myself into studies, and I was like, I'm gonna kick ass, and I'm gonna be cool and weird, and like college is new, and I'm not gonna be depressed. And I pushed myself really hard, and I pushed myself to a point where I actually stayed up for an entire week, and I then was given the diagnosis of bipolar 2 disorder. Today, we now know that's wrong. I just have an extreme anxiety disorder. I don't have bipolar disorder. But at the time, that was kind of the beginning of the medication treadmill, so to speak. So they doped me up with more lithium, more mood stabilizers, and college really kicked in. College for me was a shit show. I met some amazing people. I love them, my Middlebury people. They championed me. Both my professors and my social groups really, really championed me. They're the reason I graduated college. Ass kicking too. Like, when in doubt, always give a strong dose of ass kicking. Like, hustle in life is critical. So I hustled my ass, but also I had some amazing support networks, whether it was my dean or just a professor helping me out. Or a suicide watch buddy. So started my sophomore year of college. And halfway through, stuff got bad. Medications were making me sick. Everything was shit was hitting the fan. Work was hard. School was hard. Socially was hard. Moods were all over the map. So they just kept adding pill after pill. And I kept puking and shitting myself and headaches. And you name it, I was feeling it. It was nasty. And kind of the physicality of self that I had known so confidently really disappeared at that point. When I was taking that a boatload of lithium, and so I was seeing double. So even running 3 miles felt really hard. Binge eating to mask the feelings of disgust, there was just a lot of stuff going down. And so by the time I turned 20, it was really low. Classified as bipolar disorder, just long-term depression. But I became suicidal, and on a drive home, I wrote a suicide note, my first suicide note at age 20, and planned to jump off a bridge. I wrote, you can have the truck. I didn't want to be wasteful. Please give it to a family in need. I'm sorry. I'm just not worthy of this world anymore. And that's something I want us all to leave with from all of this, is you are worthy of this world, and this world is fucking fabulous, and you are worthy. Long story. But age 20, I actually, because of the way the cars are arranged on this bridge, was ushered off it, and I somehow made it to my therapist's office, and we decided to put me in the hospital. This is my first psychiatric hospitalization at age 20, and because I was so frustrated with all the side effects of the medication, I actually had shock therapy. So I opted for shock therapy. Actually, it worked really effectively for my grandmother, so I was hopeful that it would work well for me. Unfortunately, I had one of the really rare circumstances and real rare side effects where I lost 2 years of my memory. So the note that I wrote that I thought was a joke, saying, "Hi, my name is Kate. Hi, your name is Kate, and your favorite color is turquoise. And your friend's name is RD, and Pano knows everything. Your therapist." That ended up being my Bible. And so I went back and I only trusted RD, and I literally reinvented myself. And I didn't remember any of my history classes or any of my econ classes, so I enrolled in art classes, and I started using photography to subsidize my memory. That's a weird word. Yeah, basically to augment it, to be it. So I would take photos every day, and then I'd write about it at night. And I started having systems, which was like, my toothbrush is on the left and I move it to the right. That means these are clean. But what it ended up being was rituals that led to obsessive compulsive disorder. Yeah, and the rest of college is pretty hazy. I'm not going to lie. I have more and more memories kind of flood back in every day, but it was basically 5.5 years of medication, suicide, notes, sedation, self-harm, cutting, hallucinations, hospitalizations, incompletes, support from family, taking months off at home, taking months off in the ward, just to survive. Yeah, and I graduated in 2011. At that point I graduated, I was on 13 medications. I was having hallucinations daily. I was cutting and binging and purging as self-care, basically ways to feel, because I was so incredibly affected by these medications. And that was when I said, yo, doctors, I've had it. I want to meet myself. And so I began the titration, and basically gave them a royal fuck you. I've spent now years and years and years trying these meds, and nothing's gotten better. Things have only gotten worse. We've added psychosis, we've added hallucinations, we've added self-harm, we've added all of this to the repertoire, and that's supposed to be treating me. Like, this isn't making it better, it's making it worse. So I came home to the lovely state of Vermont, lived with my parents, and I hid in shame. I hid in absolute shame. And I came off my meds one by one by one. I really thought going off meds would be like this new journey, and it would be like a beacon of hope and everything would be okay. I just got more depressed. And I just wrote suicide notes every day, and I lived my rituals. My obsessive compulsive disorder owned me. I would do rituals from sunrise to sunset, and if I'd go out, I'd go out at night. During this time, I developed a knack for narrative. It's kind of how I got into brand voice and narrative and storytelling in general. I think of brand work as actually narrative work. I think it's how we tell a story. And during that time, I became kind of this sensational storyteller to my friends from college, to my parents. Like, I was recovering. I had gone off meds. Like, I was championing the movement, and I was sleeping for 14 to 22 hours a day, and I was ritualizing, and yet my imagination took hold, and I was able to capture people and say, yeah, it's great, yeah, so this is what you do, and this is what I did, and this is how it feels, and this is what it means, and da-da-da. And like, someday I'll write novels, maybe, because of the imagination that kind of was instilled during that titration period. Nevertheless, 3 years went by of almost complete hermitage. I'd go steal Wi-Fi in the parking lot at night outside Books A Million. And I'd watch trashy television, and I'd come home, and I would cut and purge, and it was awful. And I wanted to die. I thought death was better than what I was living. I felt purely and utterly alone. And during that time, I couldn't help but think, this is not my illness. I don't have the ups. I don't have the highs. I don't have the joy. And that had been a feeling that kind of was slowly emerging throughout college, was just like, am I bipolar? Is this bipolar? I feel intense, but I don't feel elevated. And around that time, my therapist, about 3 years into the titration, my therapist was diagnosed with colon cancer terminally. And he started realizing that he would need to find a new therapist for me when he would pass. And this was my therapist for 8 years. And so I went to a doctor's appointment, and a doctor told me I was too sick and needed to be institutionalized. And the inpatient ward says the same thing. And then I met Dr. C. And they set me up with Dr. C, and he's kind of my hero and my teacher. Because he didn't take away my pain. He actually made me feel my pain. He still makes me feel my pain. Man, does he make me feel my pain. He actually just taught me skills to grow. And he taught me skills to feel. And he taught me skills to be present. And he taught me skills to hustle and face my fear. So yeah, 3 years out, my therapist passed away, and I had new Dr. C, and I began what I call reentry into the world. Yeah, and I'll get more into that. But those 3 years have been ass-kicking and soul search-filled, and an honor, and a true honor. What I'll leave you is this, and we could talk about reentry or whatever you guys want to talk about. We could talk about whatever you want to talk about. But when I started with Dr. Candido, I wrote a suicide note every morning. And 3 months into his, what I now look at as like emotional boot camp, it was like, wow, you gonna do it? You gonna work? You gonna kick your fucking hiney? Gotta work on my swearing. Sorry, I know I swear like a trucker. But 3 months in, I walked in and I sat down with a little smile on. I was wearing my diapers. My life gives new meaning to the word scared shitless. Like I shit myself when I'm scared. I'm wearing diapers right now. They're really cute. They're peach colored. Peach like my booty. But yeah, I walked in and I sat down and I said, guess what, Dr. C? I'm not going to die by suicide. And that was one of the greatest days of my life. When I learned I was worthy of this planet and that this planet could be my oyster. Whatever that phrase means, I know it's like the pearl and the oyster or whatever, but that I could be free, that I could learn to live in this world, that I didn't need to hide, that I didn't need to be scared all the time, that I didn't need to be full of shame. Yeah. And days aren't easy. I still have to kick my ass and I work my booty off just to function. But I am thrilled to be here. And it's an honor to share my story with you. So thank you for the honor of your audience. And please feel free to follow up it with any comments or questions or anything you'd like covered. I'm going to try to run the gamut of hospitalization, self-harm, body image, all the good stuff. And psychiatric service dog, kind of you name it. Some will be silly, some will be sad. But I'll walk that line and we'll walk it together. Be well, with love and gratitude. Yours truly, Kate Spear.